Losing weight and burning fat can be very challenging and are especially difficult to stick with if you don't see quick wins in the form of results in the mirror or at least on the scale. Fortunately, there are simple and effective methods to significantly speed up this process. Whether by changing your diet, increasing your physical activity, or making small lifestyle changes, there are many options available to help boost your metabolism and get your body burning fat more efficiently. So today, I want to examine 10 simple ways to accelerate fat loss, and each one is supported by proven scientific evidence as effective in helping people lose weight and burn fat. Firstly, I want to start with a technique that many of you may never have heard of, known as protein sparing. Modified protein sparing, or PSMF, in short, is a weight loss approach designed for you to get as lean as possible. This is achieved through a low-carb, low-fat, high-protein diet, which restricts calorie intake to a minimum level. The PSMF diet typically includes only lean protein sources such as chicken, fish, and turkey, as well as low-carb vegetables such as spinach, broccoli, and cauliflower. Other foods are avoided. Now, before you go ahead and implement this strategy, I would only do this if you have a body fat percentage above 26% if you're male and over 39% if you're female. In these scenarios, you can implement a PSMF for 2 weeks and then take 2 weeks off, where you bring your calories back to maintenance levels with a more even distribution of proteins, carbs, and fats. Just make sure not to exceed your maintenance calories. You can do this for 4 to 12 weeks without risking muscle loss, as long as you get enough protein and also lift weights. If you're leaner than 26% body fat as a male and 39% body fat as a female, I wouldn't implement this consistently. Instead, simply follow a modified PSMF diet on 1 or 2 non-consecutive days per week, where you eat according to PSMF guidelines. Try to do this on days when you're not exercising, because your body doesn't need additional calories on those days. Simply consume only lean sources of protein and avoid all other foods. Make sure to get at least 0.73 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day while following this eating schedule. Even though following this type of plan can be very challenging, when done right, it's one of the ways, if not the fastest, to lose weight while maintaining muscle mass. Another strategy, rather than an aggressive calorie deficit, is simply to make a more aggressive cut. In other words, increase your calorie deficit. Again, remember that your current level of body fat determines how aggressively you can cut your calories back without losing muscle. And if you don't know your current body fat percentage, just look at the screen as I explain each body fat percentage category. So, if you're a male with over 26% body fat or a female with over 39% body fat, you can aim for a calorie deficit of 40 to 50%. Maintenance calories. If you're a male with between 21 and 26% body fat or a female with between 33 and 39% body fat, you should not create a calorie deficit of 30 to 40% below maintenance. If you have between 14 and 21% body fat as a male or 24 to 33% body fat as a female, aim for a calorie deficit of 20 to 30%. Finally, if you have between 10 to 14% body fat as a male or 14 to 24% as a female, you can aim for a calorie deficit between 5 to 20%. Even with these more aggressive deficits, you shouldn't worry about losing muscle as long as you're getting enough protein, lifting weights, and getting enough sleep. The amount of muscle you'll lose should be minimal. For example, in a study where men and women were put on an 800-calorie diet per day for 12 weeks, they still managed to maintain their muscle mass while weight training 3 times a week. Also, in another study, obese men were instructed to eat 1,000 calories less per day while lifting weights 3 days a week, and they managed to maintain their muscle mass while losing over 20 pounds of fat. This brings us to my next point. You should primarily focus your workouts on strength training and muscle growth, as this will help maintain muscle mass as you lose body fat. Maintaining muscle mass is not only beneficial from an aesthetic standpoint, but also from a long-term weight loss perspective, because having more muscle will improve your metabolism and insulin sensitivity. In addition to eating enough protein, the best way to prevent muscle loss during dieting is to make sure you maintain your strength levels. When you lose weight, it's natural to get weaker, but your goal should be to try your best to prevent this from happening. Do this by trying to maintain the same weight or load you were using normally, unless you absolutely need to decrease the weight. The only reason you should decrease the weight is if you fall below the lower limit of the repetition range. For example, if your repetition range is 6 to 10 repetitions and you were bench pressing 135 pounds for 10 repetitions before you started cutting, Do your best to maintain the same weight throughout the cut, unless you reach a point where you can no longer perform 6 repetitions. Only then can you decrease the weight by 5 to 10 pounds, and repeat the same process until you can't do anymore. Don't make the mistake of just dropping the weight automatically because you feel tired from cutting calories. Strive to keep as much weight on the bar as you can over time. Another simple thing you can do is start each of your meals with a vegetable salad or a low-calorie soup. I've mentioned in other videos that drinking a glass of water before a meal can cause a stretching reflex in the stomach, proven to aid in weight loss. Salads, vegetables, and soups can have a similar, if not greater, effect in filling you up before eating more calorie-dense and palatable parts of your meal, consisting of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Remember that your salad shouldn't be loaded with high-calorie dressing or a ton of oil, as that defeats the whole purpose. Great low-calorie soup options are tomato soup, miso soup, vegetable soup, and mushroom soup. For vegetables, you can quickly grab some mixed frozen vegetables and throw them into a pan with a little oil and some seasoning. That's all you need to do. It saves you the time you would spend chopping the vegetables yourself. Frozen vegetables are just as nutritious as fresh vegetables. If you're too busy or for whatever reason can't prepare soup, salads, or vegetables, then simply drink at least 1 or 2 glasses of water before the meal because it can help make fat loss easier and faster. Eating more fiber overall is another simple and effective way to maintain a calorie deficit. Fiber has a filling effect, leading to a reduction in total calorie intake. For example, there are studies showing that adding 14 grams of fiber per day can decrease total daily energy intake by 10%. Fiber makes foods more satisfying due to its ability to prolong the time food stays in your stomach. While it has low energy density, providing only 2 calories per gram, fiber is tough and its crunchy texture also contributes to satiety, requiring more chewing. That's why if you want to speed up fat burning while regulating your hunger, it's a good target for men to try to achieve at least 38 grams of fiber per day, and for women, aim for at least 25 grams. Obviously, vegetables are rich in fiber, but there are also high-fiber snacks that you wouldn't think are high in fiber, like plain popcorn, which, like vegetables, can help satisfy you with a relatively small amount of calories. Next, if you crave sugar, you can easily swap simple sugar for artificial sweeteners. On average, Americans consume 270 calories per day in the form of added sugar. For most Americans, most of these sugars come from soda, resulting in a total of 1,890 calories per week. Cutting these calories can help you lose about half a kilogram of extra fat per week. The problem with consuming sugary calories is that they don't effectively reduce hunger and tend to cause an increase in total calorie intake. That's why people who consume more added sugars tend to be heavier than those who don't. The good news is that the opposite is also true. Removing sugary sodas from your diet can reduce calorie intake and lead to fat loss. To achieve this, it's advisable to replace soda with healthier options like water, tea, coffee, or diet soda. More studies indicate that artificial sweeteners, including aspartame and sucralose, are safe when consumed in recommended amounts. However, saccharin may be an exception, as one study found it impaired gut health and glucose tolerance in some subjects. So, it might be best to avoid drinks containing saccharin. Studies really do indicate that artificial sweeteners, including aspartame and sucralose, are safe when consumed in recommended amounts. However, saccharin may be an exception because one study found it impaired gut health and glucose tolerance in some of the subjects. So, it might be best to avoid drinks containing saccharin. Another thing you can do is walk more everywhere throughout the week, as mentioned before. To lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit, either by reducing the number of calories you consume or by burning more calories throughout the day. An easy but very effective way to do this is simply to walk more. For example, take your dog for a walk more often, go out into nature, or park your car a bit farther at work. It may not seem like much, but these small changes can make a big difference in terms of the number of calories you burn over a week, month, or year. For instance, a 155-pound person burns about 270 calories while walking at a moderate pace on a flat surface for an hour, which adds up to almost 1,900 calories per week. One of the good things about a form of low-intensity cardio like walking is that you're able to burn more calories without creating energy restrictions that make you reduce your activity levels by the end of the day. So go ahead and try to be active throughout the day, whether it's walking or engaging in other activities like cycling, hiking, gardening, or whatever you enjoy. Another excellent way to speed up fat loss is by incorporating high-intensity interval training, also known as HIIT, into your exercise routine. One example is to combine exercises such as squats, burpees, and mountain climbers in just 20 minutes of circuit with minimal breaks. According to Harvard Health, a 185-pound person can burn up to about 577 calories in just 30 minutes of a high-intensity interval cycling session. It's estimated that half a kilogram of fat contains about 3,500 calories, which means adding 30 minutes of HIIT to your daily routine would burn over half a kilogram of body fat per week if you're above 185 pounds. As for vitamins and minerals, you want to make sure you're getting all the essential vitamins and minerals to speed up fat loss. Almost every vitamin and mineral will affect your weight loss results in one way or another. For example, iodine is vital for the synthesis of thyroid hormones that affect your metabolism. Calcium aids in weight loss by affecting adipocyte metabolism, and zinc will impact your metabolism as well and have a significant effect if you're currently deficient, as shown in a case study. A zinc-deficient woman increased her resting metabolic rate to 527 calories per day just by correcting that deficiency. Iron is another crucial mineral for energy production, so getting enough of it brings workout performance benefits, while being deficient reduces endurance, fatigue resistance, and strength levels. Additionally, you have vitamin D, which can affect appetite. Some researchers believe that not having enough vitamin D contributes to obesity by stimulating appetite. The problem is that most people suffer from one or more micronutrient deficiencies, which tends to happen even when you follow a relatively balanced and healthy diet. This is because current agricultural practices have made foods less nutritious and dense, in addition to reasons like increased stress levels and heavy water filtering. Ideally, you want to meet your micronutrient needs through your diet, and for vitamin D, it would be through sunlight exposure. However, if that's not possible, then supplementing with specific micronutrients you're deficient in definitely can be a great idea. Finally, last but not least, you should be consistent rather than going back and forth with your diet. It's always easier and faster when you have momentum on your side. You could implement all the tips I just mentioned, but if you're not being consistent, you'll never get the results you're looking for. So make sure to be consistent even after completing a PSMF diet. You should still be eating clean afterwards when you return your calories back to maintenance. That wraps it up. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In summary, consistency is key to achieving desired results. You can incorporate all the tips mentioned, but if you don't maintain consistency, results may slip away. So even after completing a PSMF diet, continue to be consistent and maintain a healthy diet when returning to maintenance calories. This marks the end of our video. I hope you found the information helpful and motivating. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tips and updates. Thank you for watching, and until next time,